Amni? Namon.
Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon. We're now getting into the graveyard shift, but we're going to make it very lively and exciting. Nobody's allowed to even take a nap. So, can I ask the members of the panel to come to the fore? Nomonde, Tammy, Alan. Where's Alan? Where? Frida? It's
backup for your panel.
huh? Oh, okay.
Yes, guys. You want. Not able to find the thing.
When? 22nd May?
You're on the 2nd of February.
Where? SASS management.
SASS management and ESCO. Don't know. Maybe try the ESCO one. What are you looking for?
Are you coming?
The new link.
Isn't it supposed to be 4 people?
Huh?
Isn't it supposed to be 4 people?
3.
3.
Yeah.
Where's the third one?
Asked to be excused. Are we all good? Can you begin? Huh?
Who else is here? Where's Frida?
Okay, thank you. Can I, before we start, for the benefit of everyone, introduce the panelists? Mr. Alan Murugan at the far right in the center. Nomonde? Oh, thank you. Nomonde Nyabaza. And thanks for joining us, Frida, and Mr. Tembe. So the purpose of this panel discussion is to deal with issues that we grapple with, or our deputies sometimes grapple with in the day-to-day work. We talk about service, but I do not remember at any point or we discussing much about defining good service. We have complaints from attorneys about poor service, poor quality of returns, and all that. So we're going to try and define the, good service delivery, what it means, how should it be, so that there's uniformity among SASS members as to how we do things. Okay, we'll talk about good service, the payments, the overcharging, charging of a deposit, refunding of a balance of a deposit. You'll remember that we were told that when we get we get paid deposits for execution, they must go into the trust and all that. And how do we navigate that new space? Yes, overcharging. How is service delivery impacted, positively, negatively, in the rural areas? How does it get circumstances when it gets compromised? There is a belief that, and a perception, especially among the attorneys, that acting appointments actually necessitate delays in service and all that. So we're going to talk about all that and thrash it out and walk away with a clear definition of good service delivery. Okay, I'll hand over to the panelists.
Thanks, Kumoto.
Maybe to give more context.
Okay. Thanks, Kumoto. Colleagues, you must forgive us. We don't have a prepared document to present to you. But from what I'm looking at the agenda or the items that needed discussion today, and I think it's very important. It is a very important topic to discuss because, firstly, we're in the midst of this old saga about deposits of attorneys and the recent judgment that was given in, I think, Northwest, eh? Was this yes, right, by the attorneys against the sheriff in regards to his deposit request, and obviously the subsequent challenge by the board on our behalf at the Constitutional Court. Colleagues, I think we must be honest to ourselves and start this discussion. We might not have a document to present today, but maybe making ourselves aware of things that's happening within our offices that causes attorneys to go against us. And I think coming out of this discussion today, we need to find a way to formulate a document where we can help each other in regards to requesting the correct deposits, requesting or responding to queries by the attorneys in regards to your returns of services, the fees charged, and also the manner in which we refund deposits. I know we get complaints very often where sheriffs don't refund the balance of the money once a deposit is paid. Tommy, I think on point one, job security and protection of sheriff's profession, I think we at a juncture now in the sheriff's profession where we're seeing a lot of acting appointments, we're seeing a lot of new sheriffs coming into the profession, we're seeing a lot of deputy sheriffs coming into the profession. And I think it's at this juncture, it's important to just revisit the sheriff's appointment process of staff, the manner in which he handles his staff, the manner in which he employs people. And the reason I say that is because, as I said, all these new people that's coming into the profession don't understand these things, don't understand the implication of not getting the staff to sign employment contracts, not registering the staff in the proper procedure with SASS and UIF and stuff like that. I think we must make ourselves aware of these legal aspects that governs the employment or the Labor Act and the staff that we employ. It's very important, especially the new sheriffs or sheriffs who don't have these systems in place. We need to look at the manner in which we employ people, the manner in which we protect them, and the manner in which we govern them as employees. That's very important. I know a while back SASS developed a document on this aspect. We never got to rolling it out to the profession because there was objections from some people in the profession or sheriffs or deputy sheriffs in the profession. Maybe we can start looking at this document again, Tommy, and see how we can clean it up and give it to the profession for use. It contains employment contracts, it contains the relationship between employer and employee, it contains the Labor Act and how sheriffs should behave in terms of the Labor Act with these employees, and it contains the disciplinary process that needs to be followed when engaging your employees and deputy sheriffs in the correct legal manner. Charging of deposits, that's the main focus of this discussion. The complaints that's out there at the moment is every sheriff charges a different amount for deposits, and the biggest response from attorneys is that you do not charge deposits. You're not supposed to be charging deposits. Hence the judgment that came out, and hence attorneys and attorneys profession associations going against us recently. I'm going to just stop there for now and give the opportunity to my colleagues to give some input. Thank you.
Good afternoon, colleagues. Yeah, the items that we have to deal with are vast, but in terms of really securing, the work for the profession, I think, from my perspective, the threat to the profession comes from those that want to, enter into the arena of being sheriffs when they are not appointed as sheriffs. I do recall that in KZN, it was circulated in our group that there is a company operating in central Durban. In their letterheads, it is written sheriff, and they are some sort of debt collectors. They write to defendants and indicate that this is an official letter addressed to the defendant, and the defendant should react to that, failing which further steps will be taken. I think one of our colleagues, Richard, Sheriff Lower Tugela, then made contact with this person to indicate, to try and find out under what basis are they calling themselves a sheriff. And the guy had guts to say, no, they were appointed by the minister. So those are the kind of things that we see as a threat to the profession, because a number of people want to go out there and impersonate sheriffs. I think this matter was escalated to National ESCO, for National ESCO to then maybe escalate to the board, because the board as the regulator should be dealing with those kind of people who are saying they are sheriffs when they are not. I think this one, again, it has been on the agenda for some time between the SASS leadership and those that sit in the banking forum. There has been a number of complaints from members where if there is a warrant of delivery that has to be executed, at times the agent who is appointed by the bank opts to deal with the matter on their own without seeking the assistance of a sheriff. I know that in our meetings and in the correspondence that is circulated to members, we have shared with members the problems that are experienced by attorneys acting on behalf of banks, as well as the problems experienced by agents when they want assistance from members. And we then encouraged members to try and render assistance as this relationship between us and the banking forum is fruitful to both parties, so to say. But that aspect of people or agents going to a sheriff's jurisdiction and then picking up a vehicle without the assistance of a sheriff is still persisting. Following our discussions with the banking forum, recently I have had to report one of the agents because we had made arrangements with the agent that we will be assisting them in recovering the vehicle. And I think there was a lien on that vehicle. But before we could get to the premises where the vehicle is kept, we found out that the vehicle had already been moved, and it was moved by the agent. So under those circumstances, I think it will be something that we have to keep on liaising with the banking forum about, that whenever agents come to a sheriff's jurisdiction, they must ensure that they make contact with the sheriff so that there is no one who obviously comes to a defendant there to tell them that, no, there is already a court order and they must hand over a vehicle. So from where I'm sitting, those are some of the things that are a threat to the profession, but it doesn't take away the things that had been mentioned by our SG, that we also, on the other hand, should not be doing things that make people feel that, okay, they can bend the rules here and there. And one of those important ones was where you now establish a relationship with an agent, and now vehicles have to be moved from a different jurisdiction and be brought to your jurisdiction so that you can then execute on those warrants of delivery. So once you start behaving in that fashion, you are opening up a can of worms, because the next thing, they will now overlook you and then just do the work on their own, because you have allowed them to remove a vehicle from a different jurisdiction and bring it to your jurisdiction. So from where I'm sitting, those are the things that are a bit of a threat to the profession. And I think probably I'll allow my other colleagues to maybe comment on this one, and then I'll comment later on the issue surrounding the deposits and the Post-Joe Sinyane decision. Thank you.
Okay. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. The issue of service, I usually say at the office, the sheriff's office is like an assembly line at a plant where everyone must be in order. Wherever the chain gets broken, if it's registration, a registered address is put on a document, or everyone needs to know what the station before me is doing and the station after me is doing. The sheriff's job is something everyone think they can do until it's given to them and they completely fail. So as sheriffs, we have a responsibility that whatever we do with our hands, we make sure we do it to the best of our abilities. If the domestic violence is taken from a sheriff and given to the police, it's fine, let them. But if you were giving them the upgrade service, it's gonna return very quickly, because the police are not gonna find the people on the pace that you were finding them. The police are not going to be going there in the morning, in the evening, 3 times a day and looking for one person over the weekend. So we have the responsibility to ensure the service we provide, even if they want to bring another person, they will not step up. If we do that, we won't fight too much. The other thing we need to develop is a relationship with everyone in the office. Sometimes you're selling couches and you know you're not gonna perform well in this auction. But if everyone in the office can share the items that are coming on auction, if you have your auctions Thursday, at least Mondays, everyone in the office can have their stuff on WhatsApp. It's to secure their jobs as well, because if the office is afloat, that means that they can keep their jobs. That is everyone's food on the table. I may find that I'm not gonna have a buyer as a sheriff from my status sharing goods coming on auction, but the receptionist has a friend who's just started working at Cape Town. She wants to buy stuff for her home. So she will send her mom to come and bid on her behalf. So we have the responsibility to ensure, even if we are facing job insecurities, they seem to be bringing maintenance investigators. The banks are convinced the private people can sell the properties better. But our responsibility is that what we have, we do with the best of our abilities, so that no matter what happens, we're not left saying we should have done more. The other thing is on this deposit, that is a problem. Don't give people codes, because if you give a person a code, that code is valid for 7 days. And if they pay on that code, and then your invoice is more, they are not going to want to pay you more. But if your invoice is less, they are going to want their change. These things of putting attempts, tell them we cannot give you a code, but an estimate of what this thing might be. If you have a code on your documents, change that word code to an estimated service. Don't put attempt services there. Because some attorneys would pay as long as you give them a code and they know that code is your chain to your foot. If you start putting things like attempt service, how do you know the deputy was going to make attempts? How do you know we were not just going to drive there? How do you know how many documents you were going to have for that day for you to say it's a code? Because if you're going to have one document and you put traveling for one document, what happens in an event? You do 20 documents. And then you're going to find yourself with a lot of refunds and a lot of your books not balancing. Thank you.
Colleagues, to me, mine is, training. If we can get proper training, I think service delivery will be key. And one of my issues is, as neighboring sheriffs, I think we need to sit down, especially when let's say in my jurisdiction, let's sit all so that we can discuss, especially fees. Like for instance, you find that the attorney give me instructions to say I must go and do an Anton pillar, and in that Anton pillar, I'm doing it with 3 sheriffs. It's me and the 3 others, and now, as far as the deposits are concerned, or the money that we are going to bill, differs firstly from one another. Then the attorneys start to look at us and say, but this one has billed this much, and why are you billing that much? So I think as neighboring, it's very important that neighboring sheriffs have meetings and discuss these things. And again, for me, it's the conduct of attorneys, especially pertaining to payments. I don't know how we are going to deal with this, because attorneys don't pay, and now they've got urgent instructions, and they want you to go and do that. And if you are punishing now the community through those attorneys, and I think that's all for me for now.
Thank you very much so far. So just to wrap up a little bit, I'm not closing on this, but then just to sort of take the gist of what we say needs to be done. With regard to service delivery, what I'm hearing is we probably need a guide or a handbook with regard to the employer-employee issues, and also, maybe for lack of a better word, like a documented procedure or so. Did I hear correctly? Mm-hmm. Okay. So the question remains on the issue of impersonation as sheriffs. Yes, it's being discussed now with the banking forum, but is there anything that we can share with the members that they can take away with while we are waiting for the banks to actually come back? We know it can take another 6 months or a year, but in the meantime, is there any takeaway for the members that we can share? And again, on cross-border execution. Thank you.
Thank you, Homotso. I suppose in the engagements with the banking forum, we were advised to encourage members to report any conduct by agents where they feel that the agent acted in a manner that impersonates a sheriff. So it is a matter of a sheriff gathering all the evidence in respect of the conduct. Maybe if it is possible, get the case number, the asset that was removed, and probably which bank was involved. I think members would be encouraged to then report. Probably after this meeting, we will ask ESCO to maybe resend the contact details for each of the banks that are represented in the in the banking forum, because I think it was shared before, subsequent to one of the meetings at the banking forum, but it will be shared again so that members are vigilant, and then the banks get to know that when we talk about agents impersonating sheriffs, it is not something that we pull out of the woodwork. It is things that really happen on the ground. But the more sheriffs report these things to the particular banks, because if you are aware that the asset was from Standard Bank, there is an email where you can report. If it is ABSA, you can use an email for ABSA, and that person that you will be emailing to would be able to deal with the matter accordingly. So that is what we can encourage members to do. And in respect of, obviously, those others that just impersonate sheriffs, I think at this stage, we can just refer those matters to the board, and for the board to then take steps. And we make follow-ups as to whether they have taken steps against those people that are impersonating sheriffs out there. I think that is what members can take. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. So just a bit of clarity. So you're suggesting that members gather the evidence, they send it to EXCO, and EXCO lodge complaints on their behalf, or they just send it straight to the board?
The arrangement that was reached with the banks was that this information can just be shared directly to members. So a member who would have personal knowledge about the matter would just directly communicate with the bank's representative. Because if there are questions that needs to be maybe asked about the matter, it is the member or it is the sheriff that will be able to shed more light about the incident that he has reported as an issue where there was an impersonation of a sheriff. So the arrangement between the sheriff's profession and the banking forum was that it should be direct, because they do follow up. My matter, there was a follow-up. I received a call, a number of questions were asked about how the whole thing took place. So I think it would be better if the member directly communicates with the bank where there is that impersonation of a sheriff.
Thank you. Before we comment further, can we take just like maybe 3 questions, comments from the floor? Dr. Tau?
Okay, thank you, SG. Mine is not a question, it's a comment about the people who impersonate themselves as sheriffs. I think we also, colleagues, we have to clean up our side. We have to work hard. We are serving the public. Now you find that the office of one of the sheriff is closed at 12 o'clock on Friday. and the warrant of delivery is in his office for 2 weeks, 3 weeks. Now the agent have traced the car, they found the car, they cannot get any help from that office. So are you not encouraging people to do the work on your behalf as a sheriff? There are other offices also. They just serve letter of demand, sermons, and when they get a warrant of execution, they are stuck. You find the office doesn't attach or remove for the whole year. Who's doing the attachment? Who's doing the removal? Who's doing the auction? And we as sheriff, you come back, we cry and say we don't make money. We are in business. We have to work hard. And remember, from 7 to 7, that is the sheriff office must function. Deputies must function. So now we are encouraging these people. And as long as the banks can see that you are a hard-working sheriff, every time they will even call you for the neighboring sheriff's documents. And just be honest, tell them, this is not my document. I once phoned a sheriff and say, the people are at your place, they found the car, they say you've got a warrant of execution. He says, no, I'll see them on Monday. This is business. This is business, we have to make money. So let's clean up our sites before we can complain about these people. And we have to work hard, and by hard working, we encourage our deputies to work hard. They earn on commission. We ensure that they've got a living wage. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ndete Tao, for that insightful contribution. Okay.
On amendment of our rate of delivery, as far as we have a problem with tracers, remember, they might find a vehicle on your jurisdiction, but unfortunately, when it goes to people who are earning through commission, the tracers knows that if I provide that deputy a vehicle, it will be cut for the boys. Then is when now other sheriffs, they fail to execute the warrant of delivery due to the agency, where they traced a vehicle on my jurisdiction. I can serve section 129, default judgment, but when it comes to warrant of execution, doesn't come to my office, or to find out the tracer might have a connection with a deputy who's earning through a commission. And remember, we're not working on a process of high court only. We do mesh, we do all services. Each and every service to the sheriff's office is very important. But when it comes to the people who are earning through commission is where we have a problem. And again, the areas, you might have a small area, which is you running the magistrate, you once come approach a high court matter once in a month, or you spend 2 to 3 months without any service of same-day agent under Supreme Court. Thanks.
Yes, I have a question and there's an instruction maybe there on the end for the panel. We had a situation a few years ago where the prosecutor tried to prosecute a person impersonating the sheriff, and he couldn't do anything. Because when he went to the police station, they say there's no code to prosecute the person that's impersonating a sheriff. So he said, but what about the Sheriff's Act? He said that is to regulate the sheriff. So we need to investigate that the SAPD, where on the end of the day, when we must go and lay a complaint, must actually take the case and have codes that they can actually charge the person. Now, if the prosecutor cannot get joy, how are we going to do it?
Thank you, sir.
Okay. We hear the question. I think it would be referred to the legal committee to question, and whatever it comes up with, it would be distributed amongst the members. But this is the thing as well. The sheriff is not a postman. The communities we work with must understand who is a sheriff. The community must be able to call us and ask us, Sheriff, this is what is happening. They must know the deputies working in the areas. Ne? Even attorneys, this thing of impersonating a sheriff, sometimes attorneys intentionally share incorrect information, and they would be sending people messages. If you don't pay this in the next 2 hours, the sheriff is going to be at your door. That is when the public must be able to call you as a sheriff and you tell them there's no such thing. There is no, for them to get that money from you, they must go to court, have those summons issued. It's gonna take more than a week to get them issued. The new law court issues hundreds of summons a week. That summon of yours is not urgent. The sheriff has to serve you summons after a certain days, serve you a warrant. After only a certain time, sheriff will come and remove. So if you don't pay this money today, no sheriff is gonna come to you, especially if there's no issued document against you. The sheriff has a responsibility to give the public the correct information. And warrants, I had a warrant last week issued by police. And this person is instructed by her attorney that the police can issue this warrant because you have served a letter of demand. And the police has actually issued the warrant. But when I get the warrant, I'm like, no, I'm not the sheriff of the police. Go tell your attorney the sheriff is not gonna work on a warrant that is coming from the police. So there's a lot of misinformation, and they are hoping that they are going to get a sheriff who's naive here and there, and they get what they want. But the claim is not going to come against them. It's going to come against you as a sheriff.
Thank you, Ms. Nomanda. I think I just wanted to add, I think we've had a discussion recently with one of my colleagues where, it was our ESCO meeting in KZN, where we indicated that, we used to have the Sheriff's Day, we have gatherings or make ourselves visible during Sheriff's Day so that, people in our communities get to know that this is the sheriff and, maybe we identify a place where we can donate, as a local sheriff in the area. And that markets the sheriff firstly, but also it helps because people get to know who is the real sheriff, and anybody else that comes and say they are a sheriff, they are quick to say, but no, we know the sheriff, but it is not you. So I think it is something that we can look at maybe reviving to celebrate the Sheriff's Day. I know that there were other things that Alan referred to here, and I think maybe due to time, maybe one can just touch upon those, especially the Pochosinyane decision. Yes, the Pochosinyane decision. Yes, which Pochosinyane, yeah. Yes, which is being appealed at the Concord at the moment. I think this is a real sore point for most of us. This talk between the sheriff's profession and the legal practice council, previously the law societies, has been there for quite some time. Members have always been, trying to find a way of even making it a misconduct for an attorney not to pay the sheriff's fees. And due to the fact that members were not getting any assistance from the regulators, then members then started to say, okay, maybe it would be prudent then that if I want to have a credit control in my office, I must maybe just seek a deposit before I do the work, so that I can then at the end of the month be able to, pay off all my overheads that I have to pay. And to some extent, it helped most of us, but I think we found ourselves in this position because of certain, conduct that I think this is what we have to try and address now today, as to, when you have said you want a deposit, and this is an estimate for the fees that you're going to charge. In the event that that amount that you quoted becomes more than the actual service, what are you supposed to do under those circumstances? And I know that some of our colleagues, they struggle to then refund that extra amount. And I think that would be, from where I'm sitting, the first place where we find ourselves in problems. Because if I have said, give me a deposit, and then I do the work, you give me 500 rands, but my invoice at the end of the day is 350. I am obliged to give you back your 150. And if you request your 150 back, I must give it back to you. And I think when one looked at the matter that really has now placed the whole profession at this stage, it is a matter of a request for a deposit. Then when one has to account at the end of the day, the amount which is the refund doesn't go back. So I think from where I'm sitting, if we can encourage one another that while this matter is being taken to the court, let us be professional in how we operate. If you go to an accountant and they request a deposit to do work for you, and you pay them, and then their final invoice is less than the deposit that you gave them, they will refund you. You go to attorneys, it's the same thing, and other professionals. If they have quoted you high, and then the services that they've rendered for you are less than the amount that you pay them, they give you a refund. So I think we should follow suit in that regard, that if I have taken a deposit and the invoice is less, let us refund. And then maybe as a means of just updating members on the challenge that was made to that decision. It was noted by the board, I think in its papers to the Concord, that there are constitutional rights of sheriffs that are being sort of trampled upon, as citizens of this country, who are also, have those rights that are entrenched in the Constitution. So some of those things are, if I can just refer you to some of them. They mentioned the right to freedom of trade, occupation, and profession. Every citizen has a right to choose their trade, occupation, or profession freely. The practice of trade, occupation, or profession may be regulated by law. So if you have chosen to follow the profession of being a sheriff, there mustn't be now laws which affect how you're going to be doing that trade. And this one, which was saying that if I have an issue with an attorney that doesn't pay off my my invoices, I have to wait for 90 days before I then approach a magistrate to seek an order that I don't do any further work for that attorney or whoever is instructing me. To me, in these days, you are setting me up for failure. You are really setting me up for failure, because if every other person would tell me, no, wait for 90 days, it means I won't be able to pay off my overheads. So this attack on this provision that the SCA upheld is being attacked because it really infringes on the constitutional rights of sheriffs. And I do believe that at the end of the day, because this I think the Magistrate Court Act dates back to, if not mistaken, 1944. Yeah, so that was way before the Constitution came about, and we cannot now be held by a provision which was back in 1944, and we still apply it post the constitutional dispensation. That is just my comments on that particular aspect.
My question, colleagues, is, but where to from now? Because it was a decision that was taken, and going forward, are we supposed to ask for those deposits, or are we going to wait until we get, until this is repealed, or what is it?
Okay, look, it's appealed, so obviously attorneys cannot force you to not charge deposits. You can still charge, and I think a lot of law societies have written to the board, and the board has informed them that, look, until the appeal is heard, you cannot do anything to the sheriff. But I want to extend that one step further. Colleagues, I think, Mr. Fani van Wyk used to always tell us, as a sheriff, you have two legs. One as an officer of the court, and the other as a businessman. And I think every one of us sheriffs must identify that we are businessmen at the end of the day. And if you don't understand that business you're running, then you are at a loss. And when I say if you don't understand that business, as a sheriff, and I know some of us are absent sheriffs, some of us rely on office managers, some of us rely on staff, some of us don't worry about the office at all. It's a reality. I think as a sheriff, you need to be aware of your business. You need to be aware of every department in your office. As a sheriff, you need to understand which department brings you the most amount of income, which department is underperforming department, which staff is underperforming. These are the aspects that makes a better sheriff's office. Then service delivery comes into this aspect. And I'm saying this because I practice it. If you know repossessions is the biggest turnover in your office, you can't leave the document for 2 weeks and not served. You can't do it. If you know fixed property is the biggest department in your office, you can't have a clerk there who's messing up every day and the attorneys are complaining. You've got to be jacked up, and we've got to be businessmen at the end of the day. And that's the reason attorneys are taking advantage over sheriffs, because they know we don't understand our business. They know we're looking at the statement or the turnover at the end of the month only. They're not realizing, or they know sheriffs, their perception of being a sheriff is you're just there for the money. You're not there to run a business. And I feel, as a sheriff, you've got to run these businesses. And I take note from the old sheriffs that I worked with over the years. These guys ran those businesses. They knew every department. They knew which department needs attention. They knew which deputy sheriff is not performing. They knew small claims court matters. They needed attention. And that is where the credit control policy, as my colleague pointed out, the credit control policy in your office must come into play. And if we didn't realize it by now, the credit control department in a sheriff's office is a must now. 10, 20 years back, you didn't have a credit control department. You never needed it because when the attorneys received your statement, they just paid the account. Today, you've got to have somebody sitting in your office to constantly call the attorney for payment. If you're not doing that, then you're in trouble. If you're not doing that. You've got to have a credit control clerk who's got experience in credit controlling, writing letters to the attorneys, writing letter of demands to the attorneys, serving them Section 129 notice if you have to, getting an attorney and preparing a credit control policy for you is a must in a sheriff's office because that is a business you're running. And if you wait for that account to escalate to 100,000, you're not going to get that money. And we're very reluctant in issuing summons against attorneys. So the alternative is running a proper credit control department where you have somebody who's looking at those accounts every day, not just printing out the statement at the end of the month, posting it to them, and wait for payment. And a lot of us think this, hang on, our operating expense is 200,000, we got in 400,000, I'm okay for the month. It's not the way to do it. You've got to make sure that 90% of your money must come back into that account. Then you can run the new month. And then your credit control policy must come in just for the 10% of the money that's owing to you. If we're not doing it, we've got to think about it. And coming back to repossessions, colleagues, if you know your office is getting so many repossession orders for the month, and you don't give the attention to that department, obviously you are influencing those agents to go to another sheriff, because the next sheriff understands the potential of earning 60,000 rand on 10 cars, then you leaving that 5 repossessions out with your deputies. Deputies are not interested, especially if deputies don't benefit from that income the way you benefit from it. They're not interested. These are the realities we need to face, and I think going out of this meeting, we must go and introspect and ask ourselves, are we understanding our sheriff's offices, our businesses that we're running? If we have a fixed property department, is it performing? Is the clerk performing? Are we corresponding with the attorneys the way they require you to correspond? Because let's face it, like we are battling at the moment, attorneys out there are battling because in the old days, attorneys used to give retainers to, at least banks used to give retainers to attorneys. In other words, they give them X amount of money to hold in their account and you run our foreclosure department. Today it's not like that. Today attorneys have to sit in a panel and compete with the next person for the work. That is why you get attorneys who do foreclosure matters with sheriffs. They're constantly fighting with you. They're constantly pushing for sale dates. They're constantly reporting you to the board because they are fighting for that work from the next attorney. If they don't perform, then the next attorney gets benefit on the panel. And even repossessions is gone that way as well. The attorneys, they play it on such tight schedules with the banks that they have to perform or it goes to the next attorney. So we play a very big role in ensuring the success of that firm within our jurisdictions. We know the attorneys we work with. So I think going out of this conference, we need to ask ourselves, do we have a proper jacked up system in our offices? We are the service delivery agents for the courts in that area. Is our sheriff's office providing that service that we need? And I always tell my staff in my office, I don't care whether an attorney comes with a BMW and park outside my door. The man that walks into this door taking a taxi is just as important as the guy with the BMW. So chasing away small claims court guys, chasing away enforcement awards, chasing away private matters is a very big thing in a sheriff's office. And we tend to do that to these small claims court and private matters because that is when the complaints go to the board. That is when your court manager comes to you and the department comes to you and says, but hang on, Mr. Sheriff, I got a complaint from Mr. X, you didn't want to help him. These are all aspects that as a sheriff we need to find ways to improve in our offices. And obviously, automatically, service delivery improves. Thanks, colleagues.
Thank you very much, Mr. Morgan. That was quite a mouthful. I'd like to follow up on what the panelists are saying, not to put you on the spot. As you're giving your input and you engaging on the subject, the one thing that really comes clear is the issue of the credit control department. And the fact that, we need to get attorneys to do the, credit control policy and stuff like that. Yeah, but I don't think everyone here will afford the services of an attorney to do the credit control policy for the sheriff, specific for the sheriffs. But there are a lot of people in here who are skilled, who could assist our members with something like that. Even if it's just the key elements, document the key elements of what a credit control policy should look like for sheriffs. Even if that can be outlined, or even just like an example of what it should look like. But over and above, a policy does not guarantee we'll be able to execute according to the policy. You know, those lunch hour refresher training that we could just have members together online and just guide them through the implementation of a policy. I know I'm putting you probably on the spot, but if this is what members could need, is it something that we can look at? Members, will it be of value? Will it be of value? Let's pass there first, and then I'll take the questions. DK Cent has been up here. Will it be of value? Okay, I don't know what members are going to say on the floor further, but perhaps we could just, through EXCO, see how best we can deal with that one.
Just to mention that's something that could be of assistance. I think at KZN, we had an AGM and we were discussing this aspect of credit control. There is a document that was circulated to members. I think probably it could be circulated nationally because at least it just gives one a guide on, you know, how do you tighten the screws, so to say, so that at the end of the day you are able to see, you know, all your efforts that you go out and serve documents there at the end of the day. But the bottom line is you are in business. So there is that document. I think it will be shared probably on the national group because we shared it at KZN.
Thank you ever so much. There's a hand that is up. If you may allow me to take. DK and Tumi, if you can allow me to take.
Okay. Good morning, everybody. I would like to... No. In my life, it's always good morning. Morning, all the time. Good morning, colleagues. I would like to send my gratitude to the SASS. Information is really flowing. As for the topics that were raised this afternoon, the issue around, you know, people pretending to be sheriffs, I think what we need to do is we need to go back to the roots, the code of conduct for sheriffs. We need to relook at our integrity. Before a sheriff can do another sheriff's jurisdiction, the code, you have to revisit the basic ethos of the code of conduct and your ethical standards. You need to be ethical. And then I also want to go back to the issue of, you know what, we are running a business. Never run away from the fact that you are running a business. And every business has risks. So what is your business model? Do you have mitigating factors? Have you identified your risks? One of the risks is non-payment. How do you mitigate your risk? And one of the mitigating factors, obviously, is requesting for a deposit. And obviously now we have acting sheriffs working for about 6 months, then they are changed, or maybe people retiring. How then do you work towards getting the most of your money before you leave office? To me, it would be asking for a deposit that would mitigate you now running like a debt collector looking for your money. So I do, you know, propagate for a credit control policy in your office. And alongside that, you should have a data management policy. Meaning that in your office, when somebody is busy with the credit control, screening who can get what, who's going to pay which deposit, at the same time, you have those attorneys who have stopped utilizing your services, but they are not paying you. So who is pursuing them? This is where data management comes into place. So my input to this conference is that please look at your credit control policy as well as your data management policy. And in as much as we are talking about, people not finding people in offices and therefore going to the next office, we should look at the business model. Most of the time, there are always negatives and positives to every business model. The positive of the commission-based is that, you get a lot of income on paper, seeing it on paper, and deputies, getting a lot of commission end of the month. But then again, when you look at, how do they get this commission? Obviously, it creates a negative in the sense that they will start, collecting documents from the nearby, jurisdiction, thus causing a problem. So this is where integrity kicks in. So I think SODESTA must have an ongoing program on enforcing the code of conduct. The implications of certain actions in the sheriff's office, their ethics. We need to keep on inculcating that to our staff. And those would be my contribution. Credit control, data management, integrity, code of conduct, and self-introspection. Look at your mission and vision in as far as your office is concerned. It's not only the Sheriff's Board and SODESTA and SASS that has to have a vision and a mission. You as a sheriff, what is your vision for your office? What is your mission for your office? And everybody has to understand that. And don't be scared of attorneys. Attorneys will come. Remember he said, Alan mentioned that they also have to be on a panel of attorneys. And you look at the outcomes. Are they giving you value for money? So if they are not working, obviously they will go to the sheriffs and run and tell them do this, even if it's illegal. But all that I'm saying is that stand your ground. I was harassed by one attorney, I won't mention her name, but she's in Pretoria. She's popularly known. At a certain point, the board stopped sending complaints to me because they understood her perspective.
Thank you, SG. I think I had two short inputs, yes, on this impersonation challenge as well as on the credit control. On the impersonation, I think I've been largely covered by the inputs that have been made. Save that I also wanted to impress on the need to react timeously, particularly around reporting. Where as sheriff, and I'm also guilty of that. As sheriffs, we would want to first engage my colleague and be collegial. This is what is happening. Please stop it, and we are not reporting. We are not making ourselves, myself and my colleague, a favor by not bringing this to the attention of the competent authority to deal with it. So the timing of these reports, once we get these contact details of the banks for reporting, let us use them and use them timeously, because it's not helpful for me to report a transgression that happened 6 months ago and hope that it will have an effect on the current conduct, both of the impersonator and a cooperating sheriff or deputy sheriff, right? Briefly on the credit control, I'm sure, with our relationship with the South African Board for Sheriffs, there is a training course that was offered on debt collection. It is training on debt collection. So whilst we are developing our in-house guideline, policy guideline, let us go back to Vincent, Lucinda and them, that training unit, tap on that, because there is material that was designed specifically for the sheriffs for debt collection. Thank you.
Can I give the mic to Ivan first? Otherwise, it's going to leave me here. This will be the last question.
Tommy, on that application in the Concord that the Board for Sheriffs is, I sort of read through their application, and if I remember correct, they were also asking that this judgment be stayed until they can revisit the rule on that 90 days. Yeah. What has happened to that? Instead of waiting for the Constitutional Court to help us, why don't we just go to the Rules Board and... Have you done that? Do we know how far it is?
The submission to the Rules Board has already been done to indicate that they should consider just scrapping that provision. Right now, we are still awaiting a response from the Rules Board in that regard. But I suppose it will be something for ESCO to maybe follow up on. But there has already been a submission to the Rules Board, because I think it was one of the ideas that had been shared on the national group, that while we are pursuing the appeal, we should also go to the Rules Board directly to ask for them to change that rule, because the Rules Board can change that rule. Yeah.
I just want to touch on something that Mr. Morrigan has said. There's a lot of complaints, or there's a lot of moaning and groaning between deputies and the office staff. They're not registered for UIF. They're not registered. We've got a big problem in registering with the Compensation Commissioner. But deputies are not. Some deputies are not registered for UIF and pay as you earn. We must do a lot of introspection. We are officers of the court, and we are serving court processes, but our in-house is not in order. It's not ethical. If you don't repay somebody's deposit, it's not ethical. We must be ethical. And I'm speaking out of the heart now. So we sit on the JA's committee, and what the attorneys are thinking of us. If we're not ethical, how can you ask them to pay a deposit? How can you ask them to pay your fee if you are not ethical in your own office? It's just my 5 cents.
Okay.
Thank you. Okay, we're not taking any more questions, no? Is that fine? Is that fine? There's a lot of anxiety to know who's our new president.
Can I answer that one?
Yes, please.
Okay. Let's say someone has worked for you for 30 years. You have not invested a cent for that person. Yes, you say you paid the deputies a lot of money. The deputies have a commission. What about the cleaner? What about the lady at reception? Someone working for you and you pay a minimum of 500 or less. A year, it's 5,000. Multiply by that by 30 years. Please do what is right by the employees. God has a funny way of working. Whatever you do to another person, He will gladly multiply it 7 times to your own children. And you will expect people to be feeling sorry for your children in this profession while you will know how you treated the employees. Treat the employees in a manner that when I'm dealing with Mr. Tawu's child, I know this is Mr. Tawu's child. I know who he was in the profession.
Thank you very much on that one. The last input I'd like from the panel is how to deal with the attendance conduct. We did, but there's one element we didn't talk about. And that element is when they call, they get the receptionist or get the administrator and talk to them like they don't exist. Very derogatory, very demeaning, talk them down. How do we empower? How do we empower our staff members? When the sheriff is in the office, we'll get to know about it. When you like it, sometimes they don't. And you can deal with it, attorney. But when they have to deal with it themselves, what is it that you can say to our staff?
Okay, let me start
that. That will be the last from me.
Okay. When I arrived in PE, I was in my late 20s, and I was referred to as a dom cop. Yes. Because I was not the favorite. I did not have the 30 years experience like other people I went to interviews with. I was not fluent in Afrikaans. I don't even understand Afrikaans. So everyone wanted to try their luck with me. I was blessed by God with this little voice of mine. Oh, you can shout. I have shouted from the sheriff that I was taking over from to the respected directors of law firms. There were times I was driving up at law firms, get there and ask to speak to a director and say, no. He was on a speaker this morning speaking to my receptionist. Tell him to come out and speak to me. And I would say, look, if you cannot address us as decent human beings, inform the minister and have another sheriff ad hoc to serve your processes. Because just because you pay us money doesn't mean you're going to treat us like third-class citizens. If you cannot adjust who you are and treat us like human beings, get yourself an ad hoc. It's not a nice thing, but the funny part is that the people that I was having those conversations with now are the same people that come to my defense when it gets hot. So be frank, don't sell out your receptionist, don't sell out your deputy.
Thank you. Any further input on this one? Just one more. Saival.
I think just one more point I want to raise, Chair, is in regards to handling State Department's accounts. I think it's an issue that many of us deal with all the time, and I see Llewellyn, Mr. Sharp is quite active on this one, where State Departments don't pay us. I know there's no real solution to getting the State Departments to pay us within 30 days, but I just want to highlight something that we can do in our offices so that we don't delay payment unnecessarily. I think we're all aware that we got to register on the national database as a service provider for the state. And if you're not registered as a service provider with that, what's it called? CSD, on the CSD system. You've got to be registered on the CSD system. And also, I think if you're not doing it in your offices, you've got to start doing it is, remember in court when you're serving maintenance court documents, there's so many people handling your statements. It goes from one department to the next department to the next department. And very often we find in our courts, by the time the person gets your statement to make payment, he's lost all the documents. Every person took out a return from there, or every person has taken one part of the document from that batch that you give them. So I think, and most importantly, if you're delivering your returns constantly to the court, these accounts departments, they don't find those statements for them to, they want to see the statement, from your statement, they want to see a return to balance it. So I think a system that must be put in place in our offices is that each time you process a return for a State Department, is pull out a copy of the return and keep it a file somewhere in your office with your accounts department, so that when your statement is printed, the entire list of returns on that statement will appear with the statement. So when the courts get it, or the state attorney gets it, or whoever the department is, it's going to make it so easy for them to balance that statement and pay. That's one of the things we found in our courts, worked very well after a lot of fighting with the courts. So if you're not using a system of that nature, try and consider firstly registering with CSD. And I know somebody might say, but hang on, they tell me I'm not up to date with SASS. I can't help you with that situation. You've got to be up to date with SASS, right? But these are the issues that we need to find solutions for in our offices, because if the state attorney raises a query on a return and you take 2 months to respond to him, obviously your payment is going to be delayed 3 months. Because by the time he gets your response and process and send it to different departments for signatures, that's where the delays come. So my plea to you is try and put systems in place in your office to control State Department returns, where you keep copies of the returns with you, give them the original with your process, and then at the end of the month, you balance that statement for them. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. I want to comment on the issue of security of our employees, receptionist, deputy, and all the staff in the office. If you do not respect my receptionist as a client, you don't respect my office. Because those people at reception, they are well trained. They know everything. Unless you want to discuss something with me in terms of money, or you need a discount, or something that is financially, or something that we have to discuss the rules and the acts and everything. But if there's a receptionist, you want to check whether the matter has been served or not served, why should you phone me as a sheriff? I've got well-trained receptionists. They'll go into the system. They will check this matter has been served or not served. And in my office, I've got our areas, all the areas that we serve in Rustenburg. And we still know that Bretts has this area, Taban has this area. They can also assist. Maybe the outside farms there, they can say, let's check with Mr. Tau whether he knows this area. Does it fall under Rustenburg or does it fall under Bretts? But all my staff, they are competent. There's an attorney from Petersburg, from Limpopo, we did the work for him in 2021. He didn't pay me. We have sent letters. We have phoned him. We did everything. 2023. He sent another document. He didn't pay that one of 2020. And it was not big amount where I can say I will hand him over to the attorney to collect the money. Because I'm doing everything in my power to collect my money. I will hand you over, state attorney, everyone. I hand you over if you don't want to pay me. Then that attorney sent another document 2023 November. And he didn't pay the account of 300 rand of 2021. Then I said, I'm not going to serve this document. You must pay this document. We give you the amount. How much must you pay? He reported me to the board. Then I made a report to the board. I said, the board must assist us here. When we have to do the work, we are the messengers of court. When we have to pay levies, SARS, legal obligations, we are the business people. So, where will I get the money if we are just messengers of court, just to do the work, but we cannot be paid? Then the board said, oh, wait. Then they sent him the letter, pay the sheriff. Otherwise, I said, I'm not going. It's better I will appear before the court. And I just want to know whether this court will say you have to do the work, even if this person has documents that you served 2021, he doesn't want to pay you. And if I hand over to my attorney, I'll pay a lot of money for that thing. But my attorney, he collect and then he collect his costs. But I'm not going to do that for 300 rands. When you come, you pay, we better go to court. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Ntate Tau. I believe we've run over time, but I'd like to take this moment to thank the panelists for those insightful inputs. And this is just a small token of appreciation from SASS to say thank you very much.
Thank you.
Nango Omso.
Thank you. We can go take our seats now.
Thank you very much. Yes.
Siyabulela.
Thank you.
Enkosi ndiyabulela. And konje apha sebasuthwini re a leboga le kamoso. It has touched me. What you just said is something that we have been always trying to shy or run away from. Colleagues, it is a serious offense. It is said in the corridors, and the worst part of it is that you allow deputies to serve documents without them being registered with the board. It is there, it is happening. And unfortunately, the board is aware. And the time the inspection comes to you, please don't say I've got an organization of choice to defend me. The organization of choice says, be ethical. As you leave this province on Monday, please do the right thing. Number two, we have something called gatekeeping. In a business, we have an open door policy. If you as a sheriff give instructions to say, do not put any call through to me, I'm not available, this is what you will suffer from the attorneys. The frustration will be taken out on your staff. And your staff will lose respect for you. And your business will tend to suffer. And that is what Nomonde has just said. Treat your people with respect so that when the time comes around to be blessed, you become blessed as well. But there's something that we were taught as kids: do not steal. Secondly is that the hand that gives is blessed. This is where I come from. I will choose from each table the people that are sitting number one. My brother, stand up. My brother, you stand up. My sister, you stand up. My sister, you stand up. Carol, you stand up. Tsepo, you stand up. And then Mr. Otto, you stand up. These are the people that I have decided. Okay, sorry, there's another table. My sister, you can stand up for me. It is time now that we do pledges. A pledge is something that you commit to. We don't say give 1,000, we don't say give 500 rand. Even if you commit to 100 rand, even if you commit by heart that it is my wish that I give, but I do not have. Remember the story of the woman who had nothing, but he gave what? The last. But how many times was that woman blessed? This is all that we pray for. I wish how my business can grow. But at the same time, when the money comes in, I go to the most expensive gambling space. Then I squash it all. Then I come back and say, please help me. Attorneys don't pay me. They do pay, Mr. Tau, but this is a fact of that. What do we do with the money? Can we all take our pledges and start filling the forms? My name is Max Mangaba. I will fill with you. Please fill the pledges. Even if you don't have, fill with your heart. It doesn't matter. Let us do, let us cooperate. Just feel it. Just feel it. Just feel it. Because we want to break for tea and get the results. Let us all cooperate. Let us all cooperate. Let us all cooperate. Anton, let us all cooperate. I can tell you now. I can tell you now. I know you don't have money. I know, Martin, you have nothing. I know. But just give. Yes. Just give your cell phone as an offering. It's fine. And my contact number. My contact number. 10% from the auction. All right. We'll see that in July. Right. Can we move now to the second one? Do you have all the contacts there? And by saying contact is that if you wish to swipe today, Miss P, they can swipe. If your pledge, if you can complete your pledge, but if you say, I don't want an invoice, I'm going to swipe tonight. Tonight, we're going to swipe all of us. Then the last one is the office that you come from. It doesn't matter. Put the office. If you don't pay, the sheriff will pay on your behalf and deduct it at the end of the month. It's fine. It's all right. I understand it. I understand. I know. My staff, you can feel it, okay? All right. My staff, you can lead by it. Just feel it. Just feel it. And then you pledge. But there's nothing like a million pledge, all right? You just pledge anything from a 500 rand to your ability. Then, colleagues, we've got now the last three. Good Samaritan Project. What is Good Samaritan Project? You will see tonight when we hand over the beneficiaries of the Good Samaritan. So a Good Samaritan is where you give help, where you donate to say somebody, here we are. Then adopt a sheriff. Oh, I love this to share with you again. Fred and he, when he was appointed, a good example, he had nothing. Sorry to say you have not, but you had nothing. Only thing that you had was an appointment letter. Good Samaritan, adopt a sheriff program. Fred adopted a sheriff. Today, Ralph is standing, he's working from the offices. He was given the best. They renovated and did everything to make his business a success. That is what we say adopt a sheriff mean. So tomorrow, it might be you. And all that is because of he was a good Samaritan and adopted somebody. Mr. Tau, I'm not going to give you a mic. Just say quickly. Sharing deputies for them. That's normal. That's normal. And you are lucky you survived. Because their business is to kill you. And they made it possible. And this is a gentleman, Kastena Prawam, Pagam. This is one child that SASS gave birth to. He wrote a letter to SASS and said, SASS, I have nothing. Can you even buy me a car? Over time, I'll pay it back. Here's a gentleman. Is your office closed today? Is it closed? To be here, to be with us, and to still say to them, even though you didn't help me then, but here am I. I'm surviving. Thank you, my brother. Thank you. Mr. Tau, only God will reward you in that. But here is a child, he's still available. He needs to be adopted. Put their hands together. Let's put the hands together. And I'm going to close it now. Can you collect? I think we are done. Can you collect every row? Can it be collected? And I say to you, I know we come from different dominations, but all that I know is that may you be blessed and richly blessed. And as you give, may you continue giving. Let it not end here. Fred, you can come. You need a podium.
Come on, use a chair. Right. Ah, that's okay. Dankie, man. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, that's that time of the meeting. What we said was important, but this is why we actually here. So I'm now going to announce the new provincial representatives, and as I read your name, I would like you to come forward so we can see how you look like. It will be no surprise because the outgoing and the incomings are the same. So, but anyway, maybe there's someone that don't know you. So for Gauteng province, we have Andy Adimulam. Kom Marina to Andy. And Northwest, Hendrik Tau. Hendrik, come forward, please. Western Cape, M. Kumsa. I'm impressed with that one. KZN, Tami Tembe. Eastern Cape, Nyabaza. Free State, K. Foka. And
KZN is Marana Kalant.
wie? Galant. Now, why have I have this name? Galant.
Yes,
Okay.
Miranda Galant.
Yeah, okay, I have it too. For KZN. All right, that's why I have to come forward, because they don't know her. And then Mpumalanga, Martin. Did you know? Okay, but now you know. You were outgoing and incoming. Okay, guys, a round of applause for this, guys. Congratulations. Yeah, you must just stand here. There's something coming your way. And while we waiting, can I ask the newly elected national management for Sodesta? On this side, maybe. Derek Esau is the chairperson. And we have Strini. Nou het ek so lelik geskryf. Marimutu, deputy chair, and Sylvia Foka, the secretary. Come forward, please. And congratulations. What do you want to Ek het daai pen van jou nodig, as ek naby.
In my sak.
Okay. Nee, my bakkie is klaar. Congratulations. Okay, moet ek sê. Ja. The outgoing Sodestas management, Ralph and Sulan. Can you please come forward? That was not on my list. Ralph is dit wyn as hy is by my kantoor, sit maar daar neer. Do you have? Okay, can we quickly do the outgoing exco? We also have something for you. Come forward, please. And then we're almost done. The outgoing exco. Georgina, within your part of the exco? Was Georgina part of it? Okay. Oh ja, ek het gesê, ja. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much. Now, you have cast your votes, you have made your choice. Just remember, in terms of the Constitution, that the highest, dankie Peter, the highest amount of votes will be for the president, and the second highest out of this votes that you cast on that, from that names will be the vice president automatically. All right. And then after I've made the announcement, we will use your yellow ballot paper. And I'll tell you who the remaining people are. And out of that, you can vote for a secretary. Secretary only. And the most votes will be the secretary. The second most votes will be for the treasurer. It will be only one person left anyway. So, all right, it gives me pleasure to announce our new president for the following 2 years, which will be, oh, this is a surprise, Mr. Marx Mangaba. All right, and then a new vice president will be Tommy Tembe. All right, we got 2 names left. But do people know how you look like? Can you come forward again or not? Later. Okay, all right. All right, we've got 2 names. Congratulations, guys. We got 2 names left there. And out of that, the top 2 names, you have to vote for a secretary on your last ballot paper that you have. And if you, before we go out for tea, if you can just cast your vote now, and we'll collect it, and then you go for tea, and when we come back for our closure, I can just announce who the treasurer and the... Aye. Well, the names left. Sorry. It is Andy and Hanley, Erasmus. Tell me when you're finished with the votes. Who you all have? You all have? Peter, yeah, you know. Okay, just Ivan. No, just give this lady out of my stash a a yellow one. Okay, guys, thank you very much. If you all collected, is it in order if I announce tea then? We go out for tea. And then we come back, I'll make the announcement. Yeah, how much? 15. 1-5. 10, 1-5. Yeah, all right, 10 minutes, 15 minutes, then back again for the closure. Thank you very much. Can I my mic afsit?